This conference will now be recorded.
I'm just
There
saying,
you go. You did
start
it.
your recording,
You
but it
got
is
it.
not recording. And I don't know why. That's great. Yeah, and I don't know why Eileen is gone. Is she on the phone right now or? Oh, she's arrived.
I had to go through the
Chris, there's
iPad
another
app,
person on the
or the
call. Is
mic.
it Mo?
Here she is. But we're still
You're
missing.
Mo McCarthy, Public Works Director.
I'm able to record right now.
Okay, sorry, I don't have that.
Hi Mo,
thing.
how are you doing?
Hey,
Thank
Mo.
you.
Hi,
How
Mo.
are you?
I'm Mo.
How are you?
Good.
Oh, doing great. Thank you.
I was just telling them I have the
Yeah.
best boss in the whole world.
Thank you.
And look at that, and
Yes,
here
he
you
is.
are.
Very nice. Well, we would like to see him blush. We can't see him blush on screen.
Oh, he's only audio.
To make him blush.
Yeah. So
Well,
I'm able to
Mo,
you gotta
record
have me
Mo.
right
in real
now.
life. You got to have me in real life to blush.
The real deal.
Well, come on, a virtual blush. Let's see it.
There it is.
Ah,
Good evening.
social
Good
distance
evening,
there.
everyone. Good evening.
Good evening. I have a question for you, Mr. Maurice McCarthy, Jr.
I think he got disconnected. He'll be back. We still need, Dan said he would join us, and we still need our other two commissioners to join us before we start the meeting.
Well, we're still 1 minute early, so.
Yeah, Dan is here. Hi, Dan.
There we are. There's Dan. Are those Grateful Dead posters in the background?
27 Yankee World Series rings.
I'm sure.
You still down in Florida, John?
No, we got back last Thursday. What a time getting back though. They opened the states up for hotels,
Yeah.
and boom, we just came right back. 3 days. We've been isolating. We're okay. We got
I was
tested.
down
Everything's
there.
good.
I was
drove
down
up.
there last week. I drove down last week.
Ouch.
I got
Really?
stopped at the border.
Got up from Atlanta. She drove from
How about when you
Atlanta.
got to the border of Florida? 2
I got
miles long.
stopped. I got stopped. Yeah.
I know. 2 miles. They had them all stopped. That's been going on for a month almost. Half a month.
At least they didn't cut your tires.
Oh, you had to
Well,
tell
you
them
had
why you were
Connecticut
going
plates.
down there, though.
Harold,
Elaine,
you have quorum. Harold, you
I
have
said-
quorum, so whenever you want to start.
Do I have a quorum yet?
You do. Quorum is 3.
1, 2, 3. You're right.
You've got 4. Almost
4.
like I know what I'm talking about.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
Like talking to my kids.
I
Oh my
sent you
God.
your invoice, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you.
But are we going to get Chris back, do you think? Is it Chris from Malone?
I'm still here. It looks like Mo just got back on.
Okay, you guys are just on phone.
I'm on my headset on my computer, so I'll be able to share my screen and kind of walk through what we're looking at.
Okay, it's Chris though, right?
To enable audio control, please enter your audio PIN followed by the pound or hash sign.
And Mo, I can't just say Mo, right?
Pound or hash. The organizer has not yet started the meeting. You will be placed on hold until an organizer starts.
Why do I?
Whose phone is on?
Harold,
Yes, we're ready to
If you-
start.
Harold, when you go through your spiel, you're going to introduce him as Morris McCarthy, Director of Public Works.
Okay, Maurice.
Morris, he is pronounced like Morris McCarthy,
Okay,
and his title is Director of Public Works.
Okay. And Chris,
Thank
what's Chris's last name?
Hulk.
What is it,
Hulk,
Chris?
like the Great Hulk.
Yes. H-U. L.
They're not talking about you. They're not talking about you,
Yes.
Stanley.
No, I'm looking, Chris from Malone.
Yep, last name is Hulk, H-U-L-K.
Oh, Hulk, as in,
That's it. Incredible.
okay, and you're with Malone and McBroom.
Yes.
Okay. All right, if I messed it up, forgive me in advance. Good evening. This is Harold Watson, Chairman of the Planning Commission at Stratford, Connecticut. Due to the coronavirus 19 pandemic, we are conducting this meeting on gotomeeting.com on Tuesday, May the 19th, 2020 at 6:30 p.m. Actually, it's 7:03 p.m. The quorum for this meeting is 3. It looks like we have a good number. It looks like we have 5, correct? 1, 2, 3.
Yes, I came in late, sorry.
5, right, we have 5. Quorum, and I will now call on the following elected members to speak up as present. Christina Kasanis.
Present.
William Boyd.
Present.
Myself, Harold Watson. Present. Dan Semp.
Present.
And John Staley.
Present.
We're also joined by our alternate, Debbie Lamberti.
Present.
And we also want to welcome our planner, Susmitha Atada. And
Present.
Aileen Marsh, who is our recording secretary for tonight. We also have special guests to speak on an 824, Chris Hulk from Malone and McBroom, and Morris McCarthy, our Director of Public Works.
Present.
Before I call the meeting to order, I'd like to remind everyone to raise their hand visually in the screen if they would like to be recognized by the chair, and wait to be recognized and called on each and every time. That means each time you speak, please say your name, because this is being recorded. And the transcript needs to have that information. Please identify yourself by name and title each time you would like to speak. This is per Governor Lamont's executive order, which allows us to conduct virtual meeting. The public is free to listen in, but may speak only at the invitation of the chair. With that said, I'd like to call this monthly meeting of the Stratford Planning Commission to order. The first item on our agenda is, I believe, we can do this really fast. We'll just, did we ever get the meetings for the last? Okay, so I need someone to approve it.
Mr. Chairman, can I make a recommendation that everybody mutes their phone unless they're going to speak, because I'm getting a tremendous amount of feedback.
That's doable.
Thank you.
So Smitha, you were starting to say something?
Yes, these were sent 2 weeks ago along with the meeting notice. If you don't have them with you, you can vote on them next month too. You don't have to vote on them without having them in front of you.
Did anybody else read them? A hand? Who read them? So can we vote on them?
Yes.
Anybody,
I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes.
Anybody want to second that?
Dan Sempt, I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? None. Okay, minutes are accepted. We have no zoning referrals tonight. We have no campsite reviews. We do have an 824 review in which we have two guests. And I would love, if possible, Susmitha, can we have both of our speakers speak first to try to fill us in? Because there's a lot here that needs to be understood. I have questions, but I would rather see if some of them will get answered in advance. So Morris or Chris, whoever wants to go first.
Sure, I'll go ahead. This is Chris Hulk again from My Lone McBrew. Here on tonight on behalf of the town of Stratford in support of the addition of lights at Bunnell High School. I'm currently going to start to share my screen so everyone can see it. So for those of you who are not aware of the exact location of Bunnell High School, this is the location here, which is kind of to the west of the Housatonic River by a couple of miles on the north side of town, over near the Route 15, Route 8 interchange. Okay. So currently the athletic fields at Bunnell High School are being renovated to improve both the playability and the usability of the existing fields. These include the maintenance items such as the replacement of the existing stadium turf, as well as converting the surface of the baseball field to synthetic turf as well. Another part of these renovations, which is the one part that's going to be considered new, is the addition of new field lighting at the baseball field. The other renovations do not have an impact on the existing use of the fields. The renovation of the baseball field will allow for the field to be used by the majority of sports at Bunnell High School. This includes baseball, softball, lacrosse, soccer, all the PE classes, and that's opposed to the very minimal use that it gets now as being just a baseball field. These renovations will help to allow for equal opportunities for all the student athletes, as well as for the use by town teams. This will also help to decrease the extensive burden on the stadium field. Of the teams at Bunnell, there's currently 16 teams that share the stadium field. This includes the band, the track and field from Bunnell High School, the track and field from Stratford High School, as well as a number of town teams and leagues. This leads to the field being used until pretty much 9 o'clock every night, results in students regularly not getting home until late hours in the night. And this is something that the town is looking to help to remedy. A key piece of this of expanding the field use is with the new field lighting system at the baseball field. These lights will allow for practices and games to be scheduled concurrently, which will drastically reduce the required amount of times the students will be getting home at a late hour. The field lighting will be a 6-pole full LED system. This will allow for the lights to sufficiently light the field while not having the impact on the neighbors that the current stadium field lights have. If you've ever kind of gone by there at night with the lights that are on, there's a great deal of light spillage that kind of impacts the neighboring houses. And these LED lights won't have that because they are extremely programmable, they're energy efficient, and they'll have very low light levels at even the nearest property line. That nearest property line is located generally in this location. If you could see my cursor, this would be to the south of the field, and it is heavily wooded in that area as well. Another part about the system is that the system will be able to be controlled by an app on your phone. Obviously, appropriate staff will be able to have that control, which means that people will no longer have to stay late and physically go and turn the lights off. So these lights are really needed because even with the renovations to increase the field playability, the amount of daylight is still not enough to support the numerous sports teams at the school. This also includes the band, lacrosse, soccer, everyone trying to get some time on the field really results in people having to stay late to be able to use the stadium field. By having lights at the baseball field, it's going to allow for teams to both be using it at the same time, which means kids are going to be able to get home sooner. The field's going to be able to be used more efficiently. So with that in mind, it will be our recommendation that these proposed lights receive a favorable recommendation from this commission in an effort to benefit all the kids in the school system. At this time, I'd be happy to answer any questions that the commission might have.
I do have a couple questions specifically on the lights. Did this require anybody to survey the people that are within that light? I know that there are some, reading the current plans, there is some lighting there that this will replace. So
currently this one is specifically for the baseball field, not looking at the lights on the stadium field. The baseball field lights would only, there are a good deal of abutters that would get notified through the planning and zoning process. The one that is closest would be this house here directly to the south. I actually have done the photometric plan that we got from Musco Lighting. So what we can see here is, and one of the things to keep in mind when you look at this is that it doesn't take into consideration the vegetation that's out there. So this cyan line, the lighter blue line that goes around, is pretty much where the light levels stop. The light levels that are there are about 2-foot candles. From there, it's just a little bit of extra lighting, which is, we wouldn't even consider it to be substantial enough to support a walkway or anything like that. Those
Chris,
would be areas. Sorry, was there a question?
1 second. Is that a barn here, or is that a garage outbuilding, or is that the actual house?
So the house is here to the left with, I believe that's a pool in the front. And then, yes, this is a garage on the outside that is more of an outbuilding. I actually think it might be a barn, actually, because if we zoom in here, we can see that the cars are located here, and I believe this might be the garage, and this might be.
Chris, it's Dan Sempt. If I could comment, if you can
Sure, go ahead.
you can back up a little, go a little farther out. So I grew up on Bunnell Avenue, which is, if you scroll out a little farther, and a little closer. So right behind those trees is where I grew up. So I went to Bunnell High School. I played on those fields. I coached for 15 years at Bunnell. I would tell you that those lights that are well needed for the athletic programs at Bunnell, none of those lights really are directed at any particular home. There's a large hill, if everybody's familiar with Bunnell, the majority of those lights will be facing the hill. Exactly. And then you have the foliage from the trees. And even during the fall, when there's no leaves on the trees, it's very difficult to even see through because of the vegetation and also the tree limbs as well as the trunks of the trees. So having any influence on the neighbors on Bunnell Avenue, as well as the Barrett property, that's where you saw the pool and the property over there, wouldn't really have any bearing on light infiltrating their particular properties. You might get a little from Barrett from the other lights that are on the football field, but when you look at the baseball field, it really doesn't have any effect.
Thank you, Dan. I appreciate that. And are we setting a end time? I know that we did lighting on a field on the south end somewhere, and we ended up, there was a lot of discussion about having a stop time for the lights. Do you know what the stop? Maybe you know, Dan. There a stop?
I do. So it's Dan Sempt again. So if you look at the football field, and if you look at the south side of the football field, the lights that basically face toward the north, where I believe that's Wilbur Drive, that's over, yes, those houses over there were affected. So there were some restrictions as far as the time the lights stay on. At night, I believe it's 10 o'clock. They couldn't stay on any later than 10 o'clock. That's what I can remember from a few years ago. I haven't been familiar with the new policies up there, but I would tell you that that's where we got some flack when those lights were originally installed. And I was coaching back then, so I do remember it.
So you think we would be okay? We're not going to have a bunch of irate neighbors?
Yeah, and I would tell you that that field gets a ton of abuse. And by the time the fall sports come around, the football team actually uses it for practice for the freshman football team. So, and they were just basically able to use that outside territory where outside the fence, it's a small area where he's got the pointer right now. That's basically where the freshman football team would practice because the varsity team was on the regular field. So this allows not only football, but also soccer, lacrosse, baseball, softball, not only the high school teams, but also softball teams, any teams within town. So it's really a town supported field that anybody can use at different times throughout the course of the year. And if you saw the condition of the fields right now, they're terrible.
I did check up on it, and they've reached their lifetime. We're essentially we're at replacement for them.
And I think Mo can attest to the amount of maintenance that's required to keep those fields up right now, which is, it's very difficult because it's getting old and worn. So
in my checking, that's what I had confirmed by other people, that the 10-year life, we've just about reached the limit on it, so that it really is time that we've used it well, from what I've heard from other people. Mo, I have a question for you.
Go ahead, please.
When we got this 824 initially, it was, the lighting was the minimal part of it, and the rest of it was the impact it might have upon the wetlands, and also the rerouting of water in order to put down the new turf. Is that still the case?
This is just for the lights. It's 824. The wetlands have been taken care of. They're acceptable. The drainage around the present football field has been replaced, along with the turf on the present football field under maintenance. It's not required to go to 824. In addition, I would point out that the lighting on the football field is also going to be changed to LED lighting and controllable, much more so than the current lighting. So you're going to end up with the same type of lighting on the football field as what is proposed for the new lighting on the baseball field, at which there is none at the present time. It will be reduced to a certain degree from previous complaints under the old style lighting fixtures, and it's all going to be LED, number one. Number two, it'll be electronically controllable. Number three, it will reduce substantially the amount of overtime that's required when you run the fields late into the evening in the fall and early spring season. I hope that answered your question in a long bunch of
No,
words.
listen, I as much as I could read the plans, because it was hard to see them on my screen, I think in terms of the athletic fields, it's a huge improvement, and will make them even more usable. My question is, are the wetlands, because of its impact on Bruce Brook, I'm always concerned about anything north of Worcester Pond, because that pond is getting so filled with sediment that it's coming north of Worcester Pond from somewhere. And I'm just concerned that have we made all the allowances that we could make on a project like this in order to prevent more of the, I forget the proper word, but when the water runs through, scouring, more scouring, because I assume that's where we're getting so much dirt being washed into Worcester Pond.
Hi,
A
this is
couple
Chris
things.
Hulk. I think I might be
Try
able
and
to
answer your
answer
question.
that.
Chris,
Try and
if
answer your
you,
question.
I assume you
I
have
have a
some
couple
background
things.
on this, so I would love to hear from you on that.
Sure. So again, this is Chris Hulk from Mylonawit Broom. As far as the storm drainage system and the impacts on wetlands, currently we're not going to be expanding the field area at all. So there's not going to be any area of that's not already currently developed. So there's not really any impact on the wetlands as far as the developable area. As far as how the storm drainage system works, currently the field basically drains off to the sides. There's an under drainage system in the field currently, but it doesn't really function adequately. So mainly what happens is the water runs off of the field and then, gets into the streamline that kind of discharges down along here. And I think it makes a left-hand turn somewhere
Right, and then
down
comes
the road
across
here.
on a road eventually, and
Yep. So the way that the new system is going to work is that the water actually will travel vertically through the synthetic turf into the stone base that we will be putting in. From there, the stone base actually will allow water to build up before it ultimately dissipates into the existing storm drainage system. So in the calculations that we typically submit to the engineering department for review, we're able to demonstrate that there's no increase in stormwater runoff from these fields.
Christina, did you have a question?
Christina Kazanis, Planning Commission Zone 1. Excuse me. I just want to make sure I'm understanding that the subject of the 824 review does not have anything to do with the wetlands. It's just the lighting, correct?
That is correct.
Yes.
Okay. So so I appreciate all of the information that's being given about the wetlands issue. I just want to make sure that we're clear for voting purposes that the issue at hand is regarding the lighting, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Mo McCarthy, Public Works. The other issue is the lighting on the football field is being changed to LED, and there's going to be less overflow onto the neighbors' properties with the LED lighting fixtures because they're much more controllable.
Okay, may I make a comment on this? Because all of the information that we received was dealing with the whole site. And suddenly tonight here, we are dealing with the, just with the lighting. So I think it set this planning member off on a different direction. Yes, Susmitha.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm Susmitha Atota, Town Planner. I just want to make a comment. The materials that were sent to us was from Bruce Jackson, and he sent the entire package to us, but I did make it clear that this application will be going through a review for only the lighting component. Initially, the town attorney was in two minds whether this should be reviewed by Planning Commission or not, because it does not relate to any land use issues. It only relates to the lighting component. But because 8-24 reviews, which are required by state statute, require any reviews for municipal improvements, and this is a town property, out of an overabundance of caution, this was sent to the Planning Commission. I mean, I appreciate all the discussion on wetlands and land use and everything, but specifically, this is just for lighting only. And that's why you did not even receive a Planning Commission report on this, because there's nothing to write on this. Generally, we write on something to show if it is consistent with the plan of conservation and development or not. But in this case, this is an existing school and it's an existing land use, and they're not changing anything on the property except just adding new lights. Thank you.
Yes, John.
Well, thank you, Chair, for allowing me to speak. I've read everything that was sent out. The January 16th report to Maurice McCarthy, January 17th report to the engineering department, and the memorandum from our attorney, Rich Jackson. So I think if they're all on board, this is a very good move forward. We need the lighting. They have to play more sports in a more condensed area, which would allow them with management to stay a little later with the light modulation and controls. I think this is great moving forward. Thank you.
Is there anybody else who would like to comment? Yes, Dan.
Just wondering, is this, will this recommendation be going to zoning or to the town council?
Make that to the town planner. It'll be going to the town council. All 8-24 reviews are recommended to the town council from the planning commission.
Yes, William.
William Boyd, Planning Commission, District 3. I guess this is the monies for these lights have been approved and already with town council. Is the funding already done? So this is pretty much a moot point, just us approving the lighting. Or I guess my question is there going to be any pushback if we say yes? Has all the approvals gone through, and are we the last approval?
That's
Oh.
Susmitha. Yes.
Susmitha, town planner. I assume it is being appropriated as part of the capital improvement program, but I would like to confirm with Maurice McCarthy on this, if he's still on the call here.
Yes, I am, Morris McCarthy. It is part of the capital improvement program. And this was submitted just for the lights on the baseball field, based on the 824 state regulations that say any of the other work, as long as there's no major changes in the use of the field, is covered by maintenance as opposed to new work. These lights are new work, and that's the reason it was submitted.
Yes, Daniel.
So, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a favorable recommendation to the town council that we move ahead and approve lighting the high school baseball field.
I guess.
Any other comments, William? Did you want to make a comment before that?
I guess my question still stands, as Mo says, it was funded, I guess, for the baseball field. But how is the football field? What part do we play in the lighting for the football field, or we do not?
You do not.
Okay.
That is maintenance.
Anybody else, John? Yes.
Baseball field is, excuse me.
Well, I would like to second, prior to the discussion, Mr. Dan Sneff's proposal, favorable.
Do we have anybody else who'd like to discuss? Before we vote, I just want to make one comment that this is an instance of us being delivered what I assume is a several $million project. That reading through some of the reports, there is going to be increased water flow into the wetlands. And this is another instance where we're really not taking care of potential flooding issues in the future. I am going to vote favorably for this, but I think it's another instance where the town needs to modify the way things are presented, because I think we do ourselves a disfavor when that becomes another problem that has to be dealt with. And it's always easier to raise a couple $1 million for new sports fields, but when we come back and have to correct the water problems, that's hard to raise the money for. So Without further ado, is there anybody else who wants to make a comment? Yes, Dan.
I just wanted to comment on that because that stream went directly by our home on Vanilla Avenue. And over the years, and I would tell you, it's good 20 some odd years that I lived there, we never had a water problem. So that brook runs freely, and we had no problems with the fields being, with water runoff and the drainage. Never had any impact on the stream going right by the side of our home.
Yes, Susmita.
Just me, the town planner. Not to take too much of your time, but I just want to let the commission know that we as staff are very mindful of our coastal resiliency plans and implementation measures, and town engineer and myself and Kelly Kerrigan, conservation superintendent, and Jay Hibansky, planning and zoning administrator, we've been discussing these projects several times before the pandemic broke us apart as a team. But even then, nevertheless, we are communicating by phone, applying for grants. We're also looking at possibly cleaning up the Bruce Brook and figuring out options for that. So we are, aware that we have to be on top of our game for this coastal resiliency measures.
I thank you for that comment, Susmita. That really does help assure me. Without further ado, all in favor?
Chair, do we need a motion
Aye.
to accept?
Oh, I'm sorry. We need a motion. Would someone like to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve, I'm sorry, Christina Kazanis, Zone 1. I'd like to make a motion to approve the 824 review and pass
Eileen,
on.
what were you going to say?
Thanks. Aileen Marsh, recording secretary. I just want to let you know that, remind everybody that Dan Semp did make the motion to, with a
Yeah.
favorable recommendation to send to the town council,
That's what I
and John
thought.
Staley seconded the motion.
Okay, so we really are just voting on
Right.
it.
We're just voting now.
Right.
Okay,
Thank
so it's simply all in favor. Y'all got to raise your hand and you have to state your name.
Christina Kazanis, Zone 1, yes.
William?
William Boyd, Zone 3, yes.
Daniel?
Dan Sempt, Zone 4, yes.
John?
John Staley, Zone 5, I believe, 7, yes. And yes.
Harold Watson, Zone 3, yes. I think that's unanimous.
Excuse me, I misspoke. William Boyd, Planning Commission Zone 2, yes, excuse me.
Okay, I messed it up last week.
My bad.
I think we have a unanimous in favor of it, and we will send this on with Susmita to town council, I believe.
Thank you.
And I think that's all. Thank you very much, Chris, and thank you very much, Mo. We appreciate the information.
Thank you.
Good luck getting this done.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
The next, we have we have nothing under erosion sediment. We have nothing under bond. We have nothing under implementation plans. We have we do have complete streets resolution adoption. And I assume Susmita would like to speak on this. I actually worked on writing this several years ago. And I was surprised when I found out that it never made it through council, because I thought it was a done deal 2 or 3 years ago. As far as I can read what we have, it matches very, very much what I had written originally. So it's a very thorough complete streets. And what's important about that is when we go for federal grants or even state grants for complete streets, they're going to want to look at what our policy is. And they actually grade us on what we include in that policy. So the idea that Public Works is stepping up to do the annual report means a whole lot to the Federal Complete Streets organization. So we actually have a very robust, which will put us up close to where West Hartford is on their Complete Streets project. It makes us have one of the best complete streets policies in the state. And equal to all over the country, it puts us in a very special category. So I really, really appreciate all the people that did the work on it. Susmitha, do you want to make a comment on that?
Sure. Actually, Harold, Susmitha, to the town planner, I appreciate the overview you gave. You're more familiar with that process than I am because I joined this office in fall of 2018. And this Complete Streets plan was done in 2016, and the policy was written in 2017. And the reason it did not go through was because of the change in the council membership and the timing. Like, nobody was followed it through. Like, I was checking our files because we were applying for Sustainable Connecticut certification. And as part of the certification, we get certain number of points if we have a policy that is adopted by the local legislative body. And I was looking for the resolution copy and I couldn't find it. And then I realized that it was, somehow it got lost in the weeds and we should bring this back up again. Also, I think moving forward, one comment I would like to make is when I was working in my previous position in New Haven, all the plans and anything, any policies were formally adopted by the Planning Commission too. And I think it's a good idea for the Planning Commission to adopt any plans or any policies that you as a commission work together on, because you provide direction to the town on sound land use planning policies.
Is this here for us tonight to actually vote on? Should
Yes,
we?
I would.
Has everybody, may I pick a survey of our members? Have you guys read this policy? John, I see you're saying yes. Dan, you've read the new version. William, have you read the new version? Christina,
Yes.
have you read the new version? So we could, do you feel comfortable voting on an endorsement for this policy? I can tell you, my honest feeling is this is not political. It was not written as a political document. This is just good governance. So I, as a Greenway person, I will vote in favor of this. I don't know if we need to discuss it. Does anybody want to know any information? Yes, Christina.
Sorry, Christina Kazanis, Zone 1. Susmitha, does not passing this right now put anything at risk vis-a-vis like grant opportunities or secured grants that we currently have?
Susmitha, to the town planner, I don't think it would affect our ability to actually stop any grants that are, already underway and we're working on. But one reason why I want this to get passed as soon as possible is because, like I said, we applied for Sustainable Connecticut certification. Yeah. And in June, we'll have a review period when they will ask for more information from us. And my hope and intent is to pass this to the town council by June 1st week for the June meeting and get this passed so that, when the review period opens up and asks me for a copy of the legislation or a resolution, then I do have that copy in hand to provide them.
And Christina, it does make a difference for the National Complete Streets organization that does have some grants. They also have some design money and they have management money and they have grants for things that are hard for us to get, like signage money. So it does make a difference. That's one thing they're going to look at is, are these people taking this seriously? Or is it not just a single Greenway, but a network? And that's kind of what they're looking at.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Would anybody like to move this? Yes, John.
Yes, I'd like to make a favorable recommendation for the resolution adopting the Town of Stratford Complete Streets policy, and I believe it was dated 2017.
Anybody second? Christina?
Christina Kazanis, second.
Any discussion? Are we ready to vote? All right, I'm going to poll you again. I don't know how else to do it with these screens. John? What do you have to say? John Staley.
John Staley, District
Yes or
5, Planning Commissioner, vote yes.
Okay, Daniel?
Dan Semp, Zone 4, yes.
William?
William Boyd, Zone 2, yes.
Christina?
Christina Kazanis, Zone 1, yes.
Harold Watson, Zone 3, yes. So we will send this to, I assume this goes to Town Council
Yes.
with our recommendation for it?
Mhm.
Okay. And I think that we are nearing the end of what's here. Susmitha, you have Sustainable Connecticut, but we have nothing on the agenda next to it. Did you have something?
Yes, I'm going to share my screen to show what was submitted online. It's a lot of materials and it's a huge package, and I didn't want to, send too much information that you get confused about without knowing the background. So a few weeks ago, Mayor reached out to me and Kelly Kerrigan, Conservation Superintendent, and gave us the rights to enter our town information in Sustainable Connecticut website. The town formally passed a resolution to be part of the Sustainable Connecticut membership a few months ago. And because of the resolution, we were eligible to participate in the spring certification cycle. So I'm going to share my screen and I'll show you what this means and why the Planning Commission should know about this.
Maybe.
All right, can you see my screen?
Can you zoom a little bit? Oh, that's better. I can see that. Can everybody see that?
That's good. So this is our Sustainable Connecticut website, and this is a Stratford certification application that was submitted like 2 weeks ago when there was a deadline. We just did it right on that day at 12 o'clock. And we tried as much as possible to get as many points as we can. So total activities that we entered for includes 415 points that we think we are eligible to obtain, but I'm not sure if we will be certified that way, and we may not be. I don't know. We will get our review period open up in June. This certification is important to the town and especially to the Planning Commission because it opens up a lot of opportunities for us to obtain any grants that they can provide. And also they have a program called the Community Matching Fund Program, where they help us raise money dollar to dollar. So if a private property owner or a business owner or the town itself want to, undertake a project that is of benefit to the town in terms of also enhancing the town's sustainability, then their team helps us raise the money for this. Another advantage is also that we are now going to get the help of a fellow, Sustainable Connecticut fellow for the summer, who would help us in these actions. So these are the 9 actions in general, like thriving local economies, land and natural resources, ecosystems, resilient planning, dynamic and resilient planning, clean and diverse transportation systems, efficient physical infrastructure and operations, strategic and inclusive public services, healthy, efficient and diverse housing, and inclusive and equitable community impacts. So under each activity, if you go, there are a set of actions, and each action would require us, like if I go into promoting sustainable workforce development and I click on that, it tells us what we should do to get the points. So if we have an updated brownfield inventory, we'll get 10 points. And if I have priority sites and workshops, we get another 10 points. So I encourage you in your free time to go and explore this further. One specific thing that we discussed today, and you wanted to know why.
Is this on the planning site?
No, it is sustainablecity.org. And if you go in this tab called Actions and Certifications, you get a list of all the actions and certifications. Actually, there's a master list too. So if you go under Actions and Certifications and you click Learn More, there is a master list of actions that is available for download. And you open this. It gets automatically downloaded onto your computer, but it'll show you an Excel sheet.
Oh, okay.
And now I'm just opening it up for you guys right now here. I think I might have to do it again.
We might be pushing the data. It's sustainableconnecticut.com.
.org.
Okay, are you guys trying it too? Sustainablecity.org.
Okay.
I'm unable to actually open this right now, but I did open this up. Yes, Christina.
Christina Kazana, Zone 1. So if I understand it correctly, there were a total of about, was it 1,400 or 1,200 points that you can receive based on those 9 areas. And we were at about 400 and something. Is that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What were the areas that
Yes,
needed improvement?
Town planner. Yeah, I was going to show you that, but I'll just walk you through this list first, and then I'll show you where we need to do more. We did only apply for 415 because we were short of time. We're all working remotely. It was hard to get hold of you, other department staff from, where we can have more information that we can enter. So considering our constraints, this is how, we actually were able to put together this information. So if you can see this master list, if you look at support redevelopment of brownfield sites, if you have a map of brownfield sites that was updated in the last 3 years, you get 5 points. Similarly, an example I want to show is for complete streets and creative placemaking plan. So this is a creative placemaking plan. If you have a copy of an adopted, updated POC that integrates it in the past 10 years, then you're eligible for 5 points. And we applied for those 5 points because our POCD does talk about placemaking. And if we implement sustainability into our plan of conservation and development, we automatically get 40 points. And I think our POCD has a section on sustainable cities. So I referred those page numbers and we were eligible for that. The one place I want to show is assessing climate vulnerability. And, if I did a workshop with you, even otherwise, I wanted to do a workshop with you and the Waterfront Harbor Management Commission and bring everyone up to speed on our climate resiliency plan that was prepared in 2016. But if we did any information update in the last 5 years for this, we would get as much as 50 points. And I would like to take this opportunity to actually bring our consultants who prepared our plan and organize a workshop. Maybe it would be a virtual workshop, if not an actual live workshop, considering that we are all working remotely. But one of the planning commission meetings in July or August, I would like to really think of planning this workshop with our planning commission and the Waterfront Harbor Management Commissions together, if the commission chair agrees to it.
Not me, of course. I think it's great, and it's right in hurricane season, so we'll be perfect for it.
So
So Smith, I do have a
we
question
have
about this.
to, yes.
If we were to, if you said you're getting an intern, could the intern simply go
Yes,
through?
Chair.
Could the intern simply go through our current POCD and see if they could find any more instances in here to gather some points?
I did look into our POCD, and whatever we were eligible for, I already applied for. I would like to use the fellows' assistance in updating new information. So we are preparing a list of tasks that she can help us with. She was assigned to our MetroCog, all the 6 towns in our region. So maybe she would not be able to work on everything, but maybe some of the key targets that we are unable to do and the low-hanging fruit, maybe she can help us. So I'm probably going to get that list sometime next weekend. And I requested everyone in town departments to provide their list based on this master list. So once I get that, I will let you know at the next planning commission meeting.
This is exciting.
Coming back to this table, yes, it is very exciting, and it's a lot of work too.
Yes.
For plan for long-term recovery for climate resilience, if you look at this here, the second or third bar, it says appoint a long-term recovery committee that will be led by the long-term recovery manager. Our coastal resiliency plan, recommended us to form a coastal resiliency implementation team, including our local legislators and the mayor and our department heads who are involved in, emergency services, communications, planning and zoning, building, engineering. So I am thinking that once we get back to normalcy, some sort of normalcy, we should kickstart that implementation team and educate everyone on the plan goals and possible implementation measures so that we all can work together in securing those grants. It has become very, very hard to get planning grants, and the biggest drawback that I'm experiencing is that when we are getting to that stage when we have to apply for a grant, we do not have a prioritized list. We do know, based on our coastal resiliency plan, our list of projects, but what is our priority? Where do we want to apply for first? And getting that buy-in from everyone itself takes a while. Every time it's a waterfront project, we have to go through the Waterfront Harbor Management Commission, and they also are thinking of developing some kind of policy where they can review these all together and provide a green signal right away without us having to wait each time. So that's something I would like to the Planning Commission to work in sync with Waterfront Harbor Management Commission and the Greenway Committee and the Complete Streets Committee, because this is also tied in together in terms of providing an emergency response when natural disasters strike.
And so Smith, just let me interrupt 1 second. When we did the resiliency plan, the group, the parties that you're thinking about were all involved, and they were honestly involved. I really saw a lot of people who they really were interested and committed to what was being done. So I think what you're saying is really good, and I will do whatever we can as planning to help you. You have to tell us what you need from us as the next step.
Yes, and I will first, as a next step, I think we should have that workshop first, because the plan was prepared in 2016 and it's like 4 years back, and we have to do something in the current certification cycle. And we also have to update our new planning commission members like Christina and William Boyd and anybody who came, and Deborah Lombardi who joined new. They have to be made aware of what this plan is and why we're doing what we're doing. And I think that's the significant first step here to get everyone up to speed on the long range planning side. Christina, regarding your question about adopting a policy, if you see this 5.1.3, it says by municipal resolution or ordinance, adopt a complete streets policy. That states an intent to plan, and we get 20 points here. And that's why it is very important that we get that resolution voted by the local legislative body. So these are all a list of actions. I encourage you to take a look at this. I know you all were thinking of long-range planning actions that the commission can look into as a group. There's a lot to digest here. You can feel free to look into this and say, oh, okay, I'm interested in this one, and can I help you with this? Or I want to work more on this, and maybe, you know, I can connect you with the right person, because we are just planning and zoning, but if you're interested on, you know, zero emission vehicle deployment, you should be working with the public works department on that. Or if you wanted to focus more on energy efficiency, then you should be working with the concerned department. Our conservationist, Kelly Kerrigan. So I'll put you in touch with her if you don't know her already. The other thing that Commission Member Kazanas asked, that she wanted to know which actions we applied for. I would quickly walk you through that. I also have a master list that is highlighted with our actions that we submitted for. Everything here where it says, one second, it's my account, Utah. And you all won't be able to see this because you don't have sign-in access for this, but I can because I uploaded information. So this one, 45 points, redevelopment of brownfield sites we applied for, but we did not apply for, we did not have all of the documents that we should provide here. But like you can see, we did apply for stuff that's already in our POCD. But we still have to update our brownfields map, which we will probably request the fellow to help us with. So there are actions here that we say status completed, like provide resources and support to local businesses. You know, this is something we applied for, and I can show you that we applied for by submitting our Mill River Commercial Realtors Breakfast flyer and our, you know, summer festivals that we had organized, Shakespeare Festival last year. So all these are important to getting that certification, and 200 points means you get a bronze certification, 400 means you get a silver certification. But in order to get this bronze or silver certification, activity 9.1 is very important, optimizing for equity. And they have a huge toolkit for it where we have to show that we have optimized for equity by including members from all segments of population and figuring out innovative ways to actually, you know, involve them in our planning processes and making sure that we are gathering data and updating data on who's attending our meetings. Are they all women, all men, or different you know, population of different types, and how are we reaching out to them? Are we using creative ways to include those who normally don't attend our meetings? These are the things we have to focus on. Unless we complete the section successfully, we won't get certification. We did, I did write something for Stratford based on our Shakespeare Festival we held, and our climate resiliency plan, and our housing assessment that we're planning to start. But I was told by the team that I have to update this write-up, so I will be doing in the next month or so. I'm going to send you the master Excel sheet that I worked on with the actions that we submitted for and those that we are yet to submit for. But I just do not want to dump it in your laps without giving an overview of what is happening here. Yes.
So can we schedule this for the next meeting? So does that give you enough time? And if you send it to us, what do you want us to come back for that meeting with? Daniel, I'll get you in a sec.
Sure. First thing is I want you to be informed and involved because you're the planning commission. And we're doing stuff about long-range planning for the town, and you have to be kept, at the very least, informed about what's happening in the town. Secondly, there's activities in here like Commissioner Kazanis asked for municipal land use training, and I reached out to Jay Hibansky, and we're working on it. We're still waiting to see if we'll come out of this virtual meeting world to the actual meeting world. But that'll help us secure some points too. It'll help us secure 5 points if we do that. And it's not just for points that we're doing, but it's actually ensuring that all our commission members are educated to make the decisions that they have to make decisions on. So there's stuff like that. And there's also stuff like climate resiliency plan, where I want to work more with our commission members on, because I have been hitting a lot of roadblocks lately when I'm applying for grants. And that's because all our ducks are not aligned in an order. So we have to sit down and go through that plan and make sure what we're asking for in our grants aligns with the priorities of this group.
Yes, I'm sorry. First, Dan, he had raised his hand earlier.
Yeah, Dan Sampson 4. So Susmitha, my question is, the more points you get, the better certification, is that correct?
Yes.
Is it what's the highest certification that you can get?
At the moment, it's only silver, but there are many communities like Fairfield is silver certified, Milford is bronze certified, New Haven is silver certified. And if you go into that Sustainable Connecticut website and look at a map of communities that are participating, there's a lot of towns that are participating. Like I attended one of their coffee conversations too, and Windsor Locks town actually got a community matching fund program to do their farmers market. So there's stuff like that we could avail for grants. Mm-hmm.
So does that silver certification give you a better opportunity to get grants?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I noticed in here too that they have a community match fund. So we actually can reach out for local businesses if they want to get involved in some of the different things that we want to do. Is that correct?
Yes.
And I see in their site for some of these different projects, they put a dollar value on it, and then it looks like people donate funds as well as volunteers for these different programs.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay.
They do have a coffee hour on Thursday mornings at 10 a.m. If you're interested, I can invite you to those events so you can sit in and listen to. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they have a bunch here. It seems really interesting. So. Thank you.
I think that's a good idea. Yes, William.
Yes, I guess we got 415 out of a possible 1925 is what I see. What are some of the surrounding towns? What are kind of scores is like Fairfield or towns, similar to our town, scores are they getting?
Well, I think I can tell you that New Haven has around 800 or so. And they do a lot of stuff. They do like rainwater gardens, and they get a lot of grants too to do those. I think Greenwich has 410 points, so they barely made it to silver certification. I'm not really very keen on getting the maximum points. I'm keen on getting the bare minimum 400.
Really?
But I'm more keen, yeah, because whether it's 400 or 800, you're still silver certified. So for me, it's more about taking care of those actions that we can do and monitor them and keep doing them, because we have to be updating our certification materials every year. They look at the look back period and see, did you follow the same thing this year? Considering the staff that we have right now, we have to see what's best that we can do. Even our community rating system program, if we wanted to, we can apply for a better certification. But the problem here is to be able to do all that work that comes with it. And right now we are tasking Shakespeare Task Force, community rating system, helping on Sustainable Connecticut, working on a housing partnership, which is going to start pretty soon, and doing planning commission, ARB, zoning board of appeals, and other stuff.
So you're
So
overwhelmed.
what is it that we, yeah, our plate is full.
I got
So
you.
realistically, what can we do? And
I
writing
got
those
you.
grants for coastal resiliency too.
Okay, so we did the minimum to get to the silver and enough things that we could sustain and keep moving forward. Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay.
But for silver, the 9.1 activity should have 3 write-ups for Optimize for Equity, 3 projects in the last 1 year. Whereas for bronze, it's only 1 project for, equity planning.
You okay, honey? You did more?
I thought I was going to do more, but
Yes,
I didn't.
Christina.
It really hurts.
Christina Kazanis, Zone 1. I think, to that point, aside from, getting the medal level certification, this just seems on the surface like a fantastic set of criteria that we as a town and as a community should be following as a roadmap to be as sustainable of a community as possible. So there is value. I'm seeing that there is a lot of value to this body, to all the land use bodies, and to us as a town to really sort of dive into what these criteria are, and use them regardless of the point system and regardless of its value to applying for grants. This is just a really fantastic roadmap. And is I wouldn't say an easy checklist, but at least it's like all in one place of all of the stuff that you could possibly be to be an incredible, sustainable community. So thank you for bringing this to our attention, because I'm really looking forward to sort of seeing what those criteria are and what those actionable items are that we could possibly do. But thank you. This is great.
Sure. And I just wanted to share this map on the screen. As you can see, all the blues are the registered ones, just like Stratford, where we didn't get certified yet. And all the browns are the bronze certified communities. All the grays are silver certified communities in the state. And you look around, there's so many communities trying to get the certification. And it's just good practice to be part of this team and the group that's so forward thinking in the state. So if you don't have any further questions, I request the chair to, move this item to next month again to discuss further, and I will send all information, the link and other stuff for the next month's meeting discussion.
Would someone like to make a motion for this, or can I just simply move it that we put this on the agenda for next month? Do we need to have a vote on that? We can do a vote.
No, you don't have to do a vote, Harold. Aileen is shaking her head.
Susmitha, do with us as you will, because I think this really is absolutely great, and it's what we've been talking about all year long. So, Christina, I think it tracks really well with making sure that people know what Stratford is. So I think, I believe everything else on our agenda, we have no new items. We have 9 is any member comments. Deborah, would you like to say something? You've been here all night, and I appreciate you being here, but you haven't gotten to say a word. You want to at least say hi to us?
Hi, and I'm happy to listen, and I'm still on my big learning curve, but you guys are wonderful, and I enjoy this.
Well, you'll realize that there is a
we all are,
curve that never ends. So would someone like to, anybody else? Wait, I'm looking for hands. Any hands? Okay. Smitha, is it all, in all likelihood, we'll be doing another month? From what I can see, it seems like town governments are not going to be opening. So in all likelihood, we will be here for June.
Yes, and Chair Susmitha Arora, Town Planner, for next month's meeting, if we do not have any items like subdivision approval or 8-24, we can take the time to review this Sustainable Connecticut actions. And also, I would like to update you on some of the grants we wrote for coastal resiliency in recent times. We did not get some of those grants, but it will be interesting for you to know what we are trying to pursue here. So if you are aware maybe of any other opportunities, you can keep us in the loop.
All right. Would someone like to make a motion to close?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair,
Oh, sorry.
before we make a motion to close, may
Go
I
ahead.
ask the town planner a question?
Yes, you may.
Christina Kazanis, Zone 1. Susmitha, would you be able to share the actual applications with us?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Motion to close, motion to adjourn the meeting.
A second, anybody?
I'll second Dan Sempt.
Yes, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It looks like we're unanimous. Thank everybody. Please be safe. Thank everybody who helped us tonight.
Thank you. Good night.
Take care.